But now, what we're finding is even the buyer looks at the price and says, we're gonna go above that price without any comps or anything else. They're not even, it's like, whatever it's priced at, we're gonna probably, and even in that price point, they used to would have said, no way at 700,000. But
So there's one more thing, and I'm just using such a fresh example. You are not the only one in this room that's had that.
no.
So let's say we list a property where we can justify with comps it should be at 725. We list it at 775, and hypothetically, let's say we get an offer at 8. What's the concern we have? That's it. That's really the only concern. So how do we address that?
Waive it with the appraisal.
Waive the appraisal, one option. That's another option.
Not waive the appraisal, counter back.
Counter back to figure out what are we going to do with that gap between appraisal and accepted price. Who's going to pay it? We're going to be halfway. What is the buyer willing to pay? Get all that decided up front if you can. It's happening more often than not. Yes?
Robert was saying the other day that he had that special form where,
Listed buyer.
yeah, so I don't know if you guys want to talk about it, but it was a way of putting in the offer so that it would negotiate maybe $5,000 over or over the appraised value.
Okay.
All
Right. We can make a note of that, and if he has it, well, we can send it out, we can send it out. So I took, let me explain what I did here. So for the next several slides, I'll go really fast, then I'll come back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Right, so 9 slides of talking points. And these are completely, word for word, copy and pasted out of some websites that I regularly follow to just keep an eye on what's going on. Now, most websites are going to have some political leaning, yet if you read through articles and you go, that really rings true. In order to avoid some of the difficult conversations you may have to have with sellers or buyers right now if you're getting beat out, utilize some stuff that's out in the media, the good stuff. I would highly encourage you, put a pre-listing or a pre-buyer appointment packet together, and it could be an email packet with links to these 2 articles, because I'm including the links. You just say, before we meet, read through this, so you get an idea of what's going on in the real estate market. Because if they read even just the things I've included in here, they'll know they gotta come in competitive or just stay out of the market. It's easier to explain if you're using collateral than if you're just trying to tell them. Does that make sense? If you don't have time to waste with unmotivated people right now. You just don't. So one of the predictions, affordability will worsen. Would that motivate a buyer? It should. What does that mean? You can read the whole paragraph, but what is affordability?
Interest rates.
Interest rates are factored into it, but it's basically income compared to purchase price and loan costs to see what I can afford. If affordability is worsening, that means I'm going to afford less house a month, 2, 3, 4 down the road. Does that make sense? Do you want to be the person telling them that, or might it be a third party that is better? Okay, so right there. Mortgage rates will be volatile. Doesn't say they'll go up, they'll be volatile. Are they volatile right now, Ed?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I, again, would want to direct them to a source of information, not me, saying that.
I did that, and Amy read the email afterwards, and she called me a dick.
You tried to explain it?
Well, I told my client, she goes, I love the house, but I don't like it. And so I said, at $350,000,
Other way around.
no, yeah, you're right. I like the house, I didn't love it. And so I said, at $350,000, you're not gonna, if you really love something, 10 other people are gonna love it, you're not gonna get it. And so anyway, Amy said, the email kind of came out like I was a dick.
Okay, so I will say, I didn't read the email, but that would be a great conversation to actually have and have
Well,
an email.
and she said, no, I know you're looking out for me.
Okay, all right.
That's fine, but still.
Yeah, and it's true. So what I was alluding to earlier, that 350 buyer can be a really competitive buyer at 320, and not at 350, because they can't go any higher. So you may start looking at, and I know there's not a lot available under that,
Campo.
but the Campo, there you go. I'll get it hard. All right, so this says in December, the Federal Reserve bumped short-term interest rates, and they are volatile. They're up and down, up and down, up and down. Check with Ed and Amanda to see where they are at any given time. Credit availability will improve, maybe. Why might it improve?
Deregulation.
Deregulation, yes. Yep. Why else may it improve? It's related to the volatility of rates. When banks are likely to make more money, do you think they'll lend more? Yeah. Okay? More millennials will become homeowners and renters. Wait, how can they become both?
They're living with parents.
Yeah, parents are like, get out. You've been here enough. So they're coming in as buyers and renters. Half of buyers are under 36. Now, that's a nationwide stat. I'm not quite sure how accurate it is in San Diego. Yet, there's a lot of youngins out there. Okay, competition will grow fiercer. It's what we've been saying, and yet, let Forbes do the talking. That's where this is from. By the way, I think I'm fairly good at what I do, and yet, if I'm talking to somebody who's never met me for the first time, and this says, Ashley Lund says this, and Forbes says this, which one's going to be regarded more highly? So your client's probably thinking the same about you. Let Forbes do the talking. Political uncertainty will be replaced with policy uncertainty. We are already seeing that. We just don't know. We do pretty much know the deregulation piece will happen. It's happening in a lot of places that aren't good, and yet when it happens in our industry, it might be kind of good. All right, I stole this from a website that I do a lot of following on, and this guy has put a lot of information together, specifically on the San Diego market, the Seattle market, LA, San Francisco, New York, and Chicago. So all the big metropolitan areas. I just stole his San Diego stuff. But for Linda, this would be a great one for you to follow. Not just the San Diego, but all those other major markets. And I actually love how he kind of phrases things. So this he borrowed from Standard & Poor's. It was put out by First Tuesday, which is one of the licensing companies. This is San Diego. And this is saying we have 3 price tiers. I break it down much more fully than that, but there's 3 price tiers. There's your entry level, your mid, and your luxury. Would you all agree?
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know if you can really make sense of this, but the low tier is the blue line. Okay, and this is demand compared to pricing. So you can see that we have how much higher demand in the lower tier versus even the mid tier.
I think the high tier should be higher in the price.
Well, this is just case short. These are numbers I pulled. I would agree. I would put this over 950. Yeah.
Probably nationwide use that.
Well, no, up to 480. It's where, if you go back to those slides I did with the percentages, this is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 of the market. So 1/3 of our market's above 672. 1/3 is between 480 and 672, and 1/3 is below 480. You guys get it? Okay? Yet, our biggest demand is in the price point we have the least of. That's the point. Now, because of that, who said bubble earlier, Bridget? Because of that, it's one of the things that inoculates us from the bubble burst. Because the demand is so doggone high. It's going to continue to put pressure on all the price points for this foreseeable future because we don't have any new units coming to town. That's really the big, big thing. That, and you guys can read this, we're not going to read it in here. His argument is that San Diego and LA specifically are 2 of the best investor markets in the country for buying rental property. Now, I love that you said this earlier, particularly because you kind of set yourself up. What's the rent on that place in Rancho Bernardo? Near Mesa. $16.95 for 1 bedroom. It's absurd. I got an email from Jenny Allis yesterday trying to move a rental that's a little do y'all get it? I think it's a bungalow in University Heights, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, like 650 square feet. Did you see that email? Anybody else's heart stopped?
Yeah.
I said, oh, I know somebody who's looking to rent. Great, I opened it, $3,600 a month. Yeah.
So it's 600 square foot place in City Heights that they're getting 2,300 for from the current renter. Same, 600 square feet.
City Heights.
In City Heights.
So as long as
Azalea
that's
Park, I mean, it's
happening,
cool, but like, not that cool.
we're going to have pressure on our prices upwards because investors with money are gobbling that stuff up. If I can buy that condo in Mira Mesa, heck, I'd love for you to figure out what the cap rate on that is. It's insane. Yeah.
I had a listing in Mira Mesa, this condo was listed at $315, it sold for $350 to an out-of-country investor, and it was, the rent before we sold it, it was like $1,650. The guy who bought it for $350 put it on the MLS as a rental for $2,400, and it went within a day. $2,400.
So we've got that.
Went to $2,400.
If you're an investor with money, why wouldn't you do that? And we've got the other thing, we've got two examples, actually probably three examples in our office. One of our cappers who owns a house in a really wonderful part, I don't want to say where, but it's a coastal area of San Diego. His primary residence, he Airbnbs and Bs it fairly often. He equals his real estate income and his Airbnb fees. And he's a capper. And obviously it's cheaper for him to just go stay in a hotel while he rents his coastal place out for $4,000 every 2 days.
So one struggle we're having with our escrows, not struggle, but something I find surprising is, I'd say about half of our escrows right now, I went in thinking, I don't think this is gonna appraise, and they're all appraising, and I'm shocked, and it seems like appraisers are just like, okay, seems legit, I don't know, does anybody else feel that way right now? Like, why is everything appraised one, and then they're like, alright, and then like, that'll work.
I disagree. I've got two appraisal issues right now. That one of them's $57,000 difference, and I thought it was a typo. When I got it, I was like, oh, those numbers are close, but it wasn't. And now I'm dealing with this, and I'm just like, that's never happened. Like, and I've got another one for $12,000, and I'm like, you gotta be so long.
I got one that differed from $8,000. This is ridiculous, because there are no comps in the neighborhood.
So I think we're seeing it all over the board, and in the cases that you've seen, what a group think is going to take over at some point. And I think you have been feeling that. If you can prove as a listing agent, look at, we had 18 offers on this, that's gonna push the appraisal up. So if the agent's doing their job, the goal is that it should appraise. And in the cases where it's not, you might have just gotten a crazy appraiser.
I feel like I just lived through this.
You did, so please tell us about San
So
Francisco.
they're gonna give up and they're just gonna write the appraisals.
I was just gonna say, your guy's still,
So like I like everything
Different
that's
than most.
really starting to happen was how I got into real estate, going through all that stuff.
And that's, by the way we're going. So we just have to look at the Bay Area and go, that's probably us in 3 or 4 years.
We were always afraid of appraisals at first, and then by the end it was just not, it's a non-issue.
On that note, another thing that he talks about is that San Diego is very much becoming a tech startup hub. Because
people can't afford the Bay
because they
Area.
can't afford the Bay Area, they get a lot more. Seattle's been inundated and San Francisco's been inundated, so this would be the next logical place. And what they're finding is the climate is so much better. They wish they were here earlier. So I love this paragraph. Again, you can't say this as the agent. Direct them to this. Should I stay in my home? You could hang on to your home for another 20%, but enough San Diegans do keep their home off the market due to greed. The repercussions could be serious. This holding on to property is happening all over North America with nowhere to go. There's likely not going to be a big sell-off anytime soon, so price rises could elevate. To ease this crisis, governments could offer incentives for home sellers to let go of the property. Question mark. For sure, new housing will not ease this crisis. Why? We can't build enough. There's another section of this, I didn't include it in here, you should go read it. 1.3 starting in January 2018, with all the housing permits that have been issued across the country, there will be 1.3 new housing units coming to market every month. That's still not enough. 1.3 million a month, and that's still not enough. And by the way, there is no way we could put 1 million more houses in San Diego. Not going to do that. But there's just no way to do it. So here's what I love. You can take this little sentence out before you send it to your clients. What will make the difference is realtors convincing people to sell their homes and move on with their lives. We all meet him every morning. Sell the house. Sell the house. So here's a short list of positive factors that will affect the housing market this year. Moderately rising mortgage rates. Volatility, but moderately. We're not going to see any spiky sales. Low risk of housing crash for most cities. Why? This is low risk of housing bubble for most cities. Why?
Because of foreign investment.
Some of it's foreign investments, and some of it is that just investors, and it's inventory. So basically, the short answer there, demand. There's so much demand, we're not going to implode. Millennial buyers coming into the main home buying years, putting more pressure on inventory, creating more demand. The trend of government deregulation, labor shortages pushing up costs of production and incomes. San Diego is about 4% unemployment right now, which is low. There are states, I have a coaching client in South Dakota, their unemployment rate is less than 1%. So they're importing workers because they just don't have people to fill jobs. The economy will keep going. We're in the longest positive business cycle in history. Look what the biggest factor is. Yeah. See.
At least he doesn't still call President-elect Donald Trump,
Yeah.
as your earlier slides were. I thought you were
Yeah.
going to wish.
No, I didn't. I took them. I literally just copy and pasted. So the fact that he's going to deregulate and he's a real estate mogul, we should see prices going higher. All right. This is where I got the fire. The spring housing market started early this year, not because of higher than average temperatures, but because of hotter than average demand. And that's only going to increase. So there's a couple more slides here. We're not going to go through all of them. I put them in here. This one's CNBC. So you've got Forbes, CNBC, and then Gordon. You now will have those links. Check out those websites. They're incredible, and use them as leverage with your clients. Put them in a pre-listing packet. Put them in a pre-buyer's packet. And then lastly, here's what you can do. We talked about strategy a little bit earlier. Become the expert in highest and best uses of underperforming properties. What do you think that means?
Higher price point.
Not higher price point necessarily. Yes, sir.
Oh, I mean, just the potential to add a granny flat. That's what I'm doing all day long.
So there's a huge article, and Lisa Volkin's out. I will get this to you. Eve, can you make a note? The article she shared with us at Coronado. A state law passed that said if you own a single-family house in the state of California, you must be allowed to put a companion unit on it, even if your local zoning laws don't allow it. Yep. Now, there's going to be a window, like right now, to do that, because what the cities are going to come in and say, yes, you can do that, but we're going to put requirements on it. So right now is the window of opportunity. Anybody you know with a house should be looking at, can they feasibly put another unit on it? So now we have 2 living units instead of 1. Will that help? It'll at least help the rents. Okay. There's other things. There are places in San Diego County that have been rezoned. So something that was initially maybe a duplex now has the ability to be 10. If you really want to have a lot of high theater behavior or be good with numbers, yet that is a great place to spend some time. Target a niche that provides constant motivated sellers. What could that niche be? Divorce. There's another one that starts with a D.
Expired.
Death. Expires? There's so few expires though in a market like this. But yes, you could do expires. What else? Seniors. What else? Bankruptcy. What else? Starts with M. Military. Okay. There's more than that, but it gets your brain going. Develop your skills with scripts so that you can advise sellers and buyers to make moves in this market. Target an area and become the expert in that farm, getting to know everyone in it. Look for B2B relationships where the other business knows about potential moves before you do. What could some of those things be? Okay, lawyers, financial planners, what else? There's some that are just more blue collar than that. Painters. Landscapers,
Hairdressers, they know everything.
hairdressers, great! Get used to and relish the long sales cycle. I am getting a little tired of hearing agents go, well, gosh, they take 9 months to a year. Great, that means you're at the very front end of the sales cycle. If you do your job right, nobody else is gonna get in and intercede in that relationship. So get into it. Follow up, follow up, follow up. You can read the other ones. We are already over on time. Questions? There's opportunity out there, guys. The good news is we're not in a bubble. We're not gonna see a crash. We're not gonna come screeching to a halt. We just have to get more strategic and consistent about what we're doing to take advantage of it.